Thank you very much, Irina. And I'd like to say good evening to everybody, and also to thank you for inviting me this evening to give a short talk about my involvement with the Association of Interpreters and Translators this year at your first AGM. I would love to be able to stay with you for longer, but I'm afraid that after I've spoken, I am going to have to go as I'm teaching this evening. But I'm thrilled to see how many people are here this evening for this AGM. And I am really extremely honoured to be asked to give a talk, and I'm extremely honoured to be involved at all with the Association of Interpreters and Translators. So I'm going to, Jeremy has given you a very contextual talk about interpreting and about the association. My talk is going to be a little bit more focused in on the particular area that I specialise in. As Irina said in her introduction, I'm a psychotherapist, a supervisor, a researcher and trainer, and I'm a senior practitioner fellow at Berkeley University of London. And for 18 years, I ran an organisation called Mother Tongue Multi-Ethnic Counselling Service, and we offered culturally and linguistically sensitive psychotherapy to people from the Black and minority ethnic communities in the languages of their choice. So the first thing I really want to stress is that we were not an interpreting agency. We were a therapeutic service. But within the service, we did have a pool of specially trained mental health interpreters, and we'd trained them to work within the dynamics of our psychotherapeutic work. Now, because I'm a group psychotherapist and I speak more than one language, I'd already been thinking about the dynamics of working with 3 or more people in the room, and the dynamics of exclusion and inclusion when 1 or more people do understand the language being spoken and at least 1 person does not. So that gives a small indication of why we became involved in training interpreters in working within a therapeutic triad, when much of the one-to-one work of psychotherapists is normally conducted in a dyad. We also became increasingly aware of the way in which interpreters are not offered any kind of professional reflective support, despite being at the sharp end of many highly emotional, distressing and disturbing conversations. Interpreters are often left to deal on their own with the dilemma of whether they have made the correct ethical decision in the moment, and also of how they are going to let go of some of the strong emotions that have been aroused in them through listening to and expressing the words of distress, pain, anger, and fear of the clients for whom they're interpreting. Now, there are plenty of resources available for interpreters to seek out self-help interventions on their own. But in a way, that is just their problem, because they're on their own in their work, and they're left on their own with these difficult feelings. And if support is offered at all, it's offered as an afterthought. Now, in my profession, reflective supervision is a must if you want to maintain your professional registration. It's required by our registering bodies in order to ensure high standards, professionalism, accountability, and safety. And that's why we decided within Mother Tongue to set up reflective support groups for interpreters. And then when we received special funding, we created a series of sessions to train interpreters, not just within the organisation, but to train interpreters to be able to offer support of this nature to other interpreters. And this training was based on an apprenticeship learning by doing model. So why did we develop this training initiative? Well, we felt strongly that this reflective practice, support, supervision should be facilitated and led by interpreters supporting other interpreters. Now, facilitating support groups is not within interpreter skill sets, but why can't professional skill sets develop and expand? And why is this so important? Well, it's important because it's fundamental that this type of support, reflective practice or supervision, whatever you want to call it, that this type of support comes from within the profession. So effectively, that means interpreters facilitating supportive conversations with other and for other interpreters. But currently, when this type of support is offered, it comes from psychologists or psychotherapists. And I'm not sure that this model, and by that I mean a model that creates a kind of dependency on other professionals' willingness and availability, I don't know that that model is doing the interpreting profession a great favour. And so it was at one of these, well, the first apprenticeship training group that I met Irina, and that's where my connection with AIT began. And since then, a number of AIT members have attended the sessions, and we're starting a new apprenticeship group with AIT members next month. But significantly, and this is very significant, AIT is now going to start offering reflective support groups for its members itself. And as far as I know, this is the first time that an interpreter-led organisation has ever done this. Certainly in the UK, and as far as I've been able to find out so far, this is a world premiere. So it's an absolute tribute to Irina and her team that this has become possible. And I've had the privilege to be invited to be part of the Interpreter Support Working Group at AIT, and also, as Irina mentioned, to offer training to AIT's members about what psychological therapists want from interpreters, about the power dynamics of therapeutic triads, about interpreter-mediated therapy, and how can interpreters get psychological therapists to work collaboratively with them, about what is the extent of the power of interpreters and what are the limits of their powers, and also about interpreters' occupational susceptibility to vicarious trauma and moral injury. Now, just one more thing about the reflective support or supervision for interpreters. Apart from the important job of supporting interpreters, it has another overarching function. And it's a function that I believe can only be achieved if interpreters are able to offer this support and supervision themselves to their interpreting colleagues. Because what this intra-professional rather than inter-professional model does is it gives the message that the members of this profession know how to look after each other. They're not just individuals who are practicing self-care, but interpreters looking out for and looking after each other. And this builds up a sense of collegiate professional identity based on mutual respect. And the thing about respect is that respect breeds respect. So this is one of the ways, in my opinion, that the profession of public service interpreters can build up the confidence in their right to be respected and their right to be treated with the status they deserve. And that is what AIT is all about. Creating a professional collective where individual interpreters' voices can be amplified, their needs taken seriously, and where professional sustenance through training and support is provided. So it may seem a little strange now for what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is that March 2020 to March 2021 has been a wonderful year. It's been a wonderful year for for the Association of Interpreters and Translators. And so here's to Irina and her fabulous team. A massive thank you and congratulations to them all, and long may this organisation flourish. Thank you very much.